In this video, we're going to look at how we form and solve equations. Okay, a key thing is that when you're asked to solve an equation in an exam, solutions by trial and improvement will be rejected. So you'll not get any marks from them if you do just guess answers and try them out in your calculator and so on. So if you're asked to solve an equation, you've got to use the proper methods. Okay, in the first example we have here, it says a rectangle has sides of x plus 1 centimeters and x plus 3 centimeters. It says find the area A of this rectangle by forming an equation. Okay, now we know that the area of a rectangle is length times breadth. So in this case, the length is x plus 1 and the breadth is x plus 3. And all we're going to do is multiply those out. So x times x gives you x squared. X times the 3 gives you 3x. 1 times x gives you x. And 1 times 3 gives you 3. So tally that up, you're going to get your area is equal to x squared plus 4x plus 3. Next part of this question says, if it has an area of 15 centimeters, solve your equation to find the value of x. So we now know the area is equal to 15, and you also have left that up above. You know that your area is equal to x squared plus 4x plus 3. So a is equal to one thing and a is equal to something else, so put those two things equal. So put 15 equal to x squared plus 4x plus 3. Now this is a quadratic equation, but to solve a quadratic equation, you've got to bring everything to one side, so there's a 0 on one of the sides. So I'm going to bring this plus 15 across, and it will become minus 15. So you'll have x squared plus 4x plus 3 minus 15, and if you had plus 3 minus 15, it would give you minus wouldn't give you minus 21 at all, it would give you minus 12. So we had brought our 15 across, and you'll have x squared plus 4x minus 12. Now this is a quadratic. The sum is the number that's multiplying the x, so the sum is 4, and the product is minus 12. So two numbers, you've got to think of two numbers such that they add to give 4, and they multiply to give minus 12. So those two numbers are 6 and minus 2. So you rewrite your equation as 0, and our two numbers go in the bracket, x plus 6 and x minus 2, and then we can solve these two things. So put the first bracket equal to 0, x plus 6 equals 0, which means x is equal to, bring the 6 across, it becomes minus 6, or put the second bracket equal to 0, so x minus 2 equals 0, which means x is equal to just 2. Okay, and then in this question, you've got to give an answer, so x is equal to 2 is your answer. So let's just look back and think why that is. If your x had been minus 6, for example, one of the sides would have been minus 6 plus 1, which would have been minus 5. The other side would have been minus 6 plus 3, which would be minus 3. So you have a side, and the side of a rectangle is minus 3 and minus 5. It's not going to make any sense in the real world. So mathematically, it's a fine answer, but in the real world it's not. So quite often these questions, you'll have to look at it and think which answer doesn't actually make sense in the real world. Okay, this question is a diagram question where you've got a triangle and it's labeled in terms of x. Each side's labeled in terms of x. It says write down in terms of x an expression for the perimeter of the triangle. Okay, now they've been nice to us here. They've written down the sides. So I can write down the perimeter without seeing my diagram again. So P, I'm just going to say, is my perimeter. One of the sides was 3 times x minus 3. The other side was 4x minus 1. And the other side was 2x plus 5. So just multiply out, you'll have 3x minus 9 plus 4x minus 1. Plus 2x plus 5, and then a wee bit of tidying up. Let's just look at that. All the x terms, you've got 3x plus 4x would be 7x, plus another 2x would be 9x. And then what else have we got? We've the number terms. You have minus 9 plus 1. Sorry, minus 9 minus 1 would be minus 10, and then plus 5 would, so that's minus 10 plus 5, which would take you to minus 5. Okay, next part of this question says the perimeter of this triangle is 49. So again, we know p is equal to 49. And from above, you knew your p was equal to 9x minus 5. So just say put 9x minus 5 equal to 49, which means 9x is equal to 49 plus 5, which means 9x is equal to 49 plus 5 is going to be 54. So just write that again, 9x equals 54, which means x is going to be 54 divided by 9. So x is equal to 6, and we'll give it units, it's going to be centimeters. Okay, this example says a triangle has 3 sides, which are 2 centimeters, x plus 1 over 3 centimeters, and x over 2. The total perimeter is 9 centimeters. Form an equation and solve it to find x. Okay, this is a tricky one. We looked at these types of ones, adding algebraic fractions in one of our last videos. Tricky enough question. But the 3 sides, we'll just write them down. We had 2 plus x plus 1, and that's all over 3, plus x over 2, and that is equal to 9. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring this 2 across to the other side. So it's adding 2 at the minute. It's going to come across and it's going to subtract. So 9 subtract 2 is going to be 7. Okay, now what I'm going to do is in this next line I'm going to take a common denominator. Now I'm adding thirds and halves, so my common denominator is going to be 6. So we're going to think about this. What do I need to multiply this 3 by to give you 6? You need to multiply by 2. That means you need to multiply its top line by 2 as well. So just put a 2 outside the bracket. It's 2 upon x plus 1. Same idea. What do I need to multiply this 2 by to give you 6? I need to multiply by 3. So its top line also gets multiplied by 3. So plus 3 times your x is equal to 7. Okay, lots of different ways you can do it from here, but I'm just going to tidy up my top line by multiplying out. I'll have 2x plus 2 plus 3x all divided by 6 is equal to 7. So how I've got that, sorry, I've done 2 times the x and I've done 2 times the 1. So 2 times x is 2x, 2 times the 1 is 2. And then I just have my 3x as well. And then this can tidy up to be 2x plus another 3x is 5x, and plus 2, all divided by 6 is equal to 7. And then we're going to look at how we solve this equation. Okay, 3 things are happening to my x here. First of all, it's being multiplied by 5. Next thing, I'm adding 2. And then that whole lot is being divided by 6. So the last thing I did there was divide by 6. That means that's the first thing that I reverse. That means 5x plus 2 is equal to 6 times 7. So 5x plus 2 is equal to 42. And then let's look at our equation again and see what's happening. 5 is multiplying my x, then I'm adding 2. So adding 2 was the last thing I did, so it's the first thing I reverse. So I will say that's opposite of adding 2 is taking away 2. So 5x equals 42 minus 2, which means 5x is equal to 40. And then again, let's look at what's happening. My 5 is multiplying the x, so the opposite of multiplying by 5 is dividing by 5. So almost there, x is equal to 40 divided by 5, which means x is equal to 40 divided by 5 is going to be 8. And that is it. Done. So it worked out. Okay, this example, which is labeled example 10, says using the diagram below, form an equation and solve to find x. Now they've given us a massive clue here, and they've been very nice to us, that the total angles in a quadrilateral, or you could say the sum of the angles in a quadrilateral, is equal to 360 degrees. So that means if I add this angle, this angle, this angle, and this angle, I will get 360 degrees. So that will allow us to solve, to form an equation, which we can then go on and solve. So 360, I'll start with angle A and I'll work around angle B, then angle C and angle D. So angle A was x plus 10, angle B was 2x, angle C was also 2x, angle D was 50. So let's just sort that out. That's 360. We'll just look at these. We had x plus 2x plus another 2x. So that's going to be a total of 5x. And then we have 10 plus 50, which is just going to be 60. And then 360 minus 60 is equal to 5x, which means 300 is equal to 5x. So 300 divided by 5 is equal to x, which means 60 is equal to x, which a good mathematician would write as x is equal to 60. Okay, a nice wee example here to finish this off. It says the sum of two consecutive numbers is 81. Now consecutive means one after the other, so form an equation and solve it to find the two numbers. So it says let the first number be n. So I'm just going to write that down. First equals n, so the first number is equal to n. Okay, if you imagine, I'm just going to put up three consecutive numbers here, 8, 9, 10. How do you get from 8 to the next number, the next consecutive number? You add 1. Likewise, how do you get from 9 to 10? You add 1. So if my first number is n, my second number, I will add 1. So if I add 1 to n, what you should know you get is n plus 1. So that should allow us to form an equation. So the first number plus your second number is equal to 81, which means in this case n plus, and my second number was n plus 1, equals 81. So that's a fairly ugly equation at the minute. All I'm going to do is tidy it up. N plus n is 2n, and n plus 1 is equal to 81. And then we can go ahead and solve that. So we'll solve that over here. Let's write it again. 2n plus 1 is equal to 81. First thing I would do would be bring that 1 across. So I'll have 81 minus 1, which means 2n is equal to just 80. So if 2n equals 80, 1n is going to be 80 divided by 2. So 1n is going to be equal to 40. Okay, let's read the question. It looks like we've done it. As far as I can see, it says form an equation and solve it to find the two numbers. So I found one of my numbers. I'm just going to say the two numbers are okay, and we've got 40 as one of my numbers, and my other number then is 40 plus 1, which is just going to be 41. Okay, that is us done.